Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I have to talk to you about Disclosure Day and the last weekend's box office. Now, I have to tell you, I came into this with some preconceived notions, thinking this movie is so bad, it won't do very well. And yet, for whatever reason, Disclosure Day performed, okay. It wasn't great. In fact, the whole muted weekend was the bigger problem, which we'll get to during the course of the video. But what happened, I think, is credibility around Steven Spielberg was lost. And I think it's going to suffer the same kind of downward slope that Masters of the Universe is getting hit with this weekend. Now, we're going to talk about it, so stick around, because here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I am trying to get to 50K, and we've got a lot of things to get into that are not just these numbers, so please do me a small favor, check you're subscribed to the channel. If not, click the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, turn on all the notifications so you don't miss anything. Videos like this, talking about the box office and the business end of entertainment, are, well, there's only a few of us that actually care about this. It's myself, Valiant, and a couple other people, and that's it. I want the entertainment business to be successful, and if you do, hit the thumbs up button down below. In fact, leave me some comments, and if you don't want the business of entertainment to be successful, let me know your reasons why in those comments as well. Now, let's start here with Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day beaming up $44 million in the U.S. opening. Domestic opening, let's just be honest, that includes the folks up in Canada, and $93 million worldwide. Now, mind you, that's not a lot of money. At least, you know, it took, let's see, 73 markets globally to bring in that other 93 million versus just North America, just the US and Canada. Why we leave off Mexico, I don't know, nor do I care. But what I'll tell you is this is a problem. This also means that the entire weekend was incredibly muted. When I say muted, I mean that it didn't make it where it needed to be, and we'll visit those numbers at the end of the video. But let's jump into this story from Deadline and our friend Anthony D'Alessandro. Again, everybody this weekend was trying to be a giant apologist for whatever this film was supposed to be. It certainly wasn't anything worth watching, and after 2 hours of slow speed chase movie, you actually got some kind of quote-unquote disclosure. But it was terribly unsatisfying, and the magical BS device that she's holding in this image really didn't sell me on anything about this, other than, well, we just needed a MacGuffin that would allow us to do whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. Now, Sunday, Universal and Amblin's film made it to 44 million, which, as you can see, is the best in the chart, way down below, and we'll get to those numbers. It would rank as his fifth highest opening of all time at the domestic box office. Now, qualifier here. Of course it would. Prices at the theaters have never been higher. The audiences, well, there have never been fewer people with their butts in seats that actually sell films anymore. This is something everybody is trying to ignore, the fact that there are fewer people seeing films at much, much higher rates. The films actually have become more and more expensive, and so have the tickets. The tickets are ridiculous now. It costs somewhere between $11 and $15 to go to a matinee. If you want to see it on the biggest possible screen, be prepared to shovel out $20. And if you want to see it on the special 70mm screenings, well, get ready to pay even more. Now, one of the bigger problems with this is it misleads the public as to what these things are actually doing. Now, you've got a lot of other competition out there, which still continues to do decent numbers. Again, we'll revisit all of that. But Disclosure Day, North American admissions were 2.8 million. Hey, they counted the number of people. In fact, in the story, it says 51% of all moviegoers attending matinees before 5 p.m. on Saturday. The average ticket price was $14.97, with an average PLF ticket price that was about $18.40. And again, that's an average, not the high end, not where the major metro areas are, and not the low end. It was somewhere in between. Worldwide, the whole thing is clicking at 92.9 million, but the offshore territories only delivered 48.9 million. Again, 73 other markets had to contribute to get this number where it is. And unfortunately, everybody is willing to spoil this because it's so very bad. Now, The campaign for Spielberg's latest began in December with cryptic billboards in Los Angeles, New York City, and Kansas City, the most important markets and the ones that are likely to pay for PLF screenings. The following week, the mysteries behind the film began to unfold when a teaser trailer and two posters unveiled the title. Now, the teaser generated 300 million global views across X and YouTube and earned a spot on Reddit's homepage before debuting in theaters alongside Avatar, Fire and Ash, and reaching expansive audiences in front of Marty Supreme, and 28 years later, Bone Temple, which was another failure this year, Iron Lung, which was a huge win from a YouTuber, Wuthering Heights, which, never should have been made, and Scream 7, which surprised everybody. Now, Disclosure Day leveraged NBC Universal's legendary February with spots during the Super Bowl, which I don't think has been taken into account when looking at the marketing budget of I'm going to say it's over 100 million. They're going to try to tell you it was about 80 million. I'm going to say that's a lie. Regardless, spots also ran during World Cup, which is now, and the NBA playoffs, which just finished, and the NBA Finals, which, wrapped up with the New York Knicks. All of that is true. And look, I can't dispute the facts or the numbers, which I won't do. What I will do is call into question the way this is being covered and the positive spin. For example, Variety says here, the box office Spielberg's Disclosure Day opens to 44 million, and then took a shot at Masters of the Universe, suffering a 71% drop. Obsession keeps shattering expectations, which it does, and at least we have some context when it comes to what things are doing. Opening at number one, Disclosure Day, nobody else expected anything to be number one except for this film. The ticket sales were above estimates of 35 million, though below the 50 million that rival studios argue a film of the scale should earn in order to debut to justify its price tag. It wasn't ever going to do that. In fact, I'm surprised it got to 44 million. I think this film is a dud, and it'll show up next weekend in a disappointing way. And again, they're still trying to sell the idea that there's 115 million cost to produce. I'm sure that's net cost. I think it was all shot in Atlanta, which had some very steep film incentives, and 80 million to market. Let's see. Super Bowl ad for this cost them 10 million. So they only spent 70 million. What about that teaser and the posters and everything else that they put up elsewhere? Do you think that's included in here? Do you think that's right? And here's the biggest lie Hollywood tells. It needs to earn about 300 million globally to be profitable. Bologna sausage. If it doesn't earn 400 million based on these meager numbers they're trying to sell us, it can't break even. And the problem is the audience is now savvy to that. The people reading these articles are savvy to that. And you know what? Here's the other problem. These are the actual numbers. This film was not popular with audiences. It got a B CinemaScore. That's awful, terrible, almost Spielberg's worst. Then you had the limited, very small earnings on the preview numbers, which was 6.5 million, so that they could tout that on Friday they had 12.5 million plus the 6.5 million to give them, what is that? $19 million in their Friday. Well, yeah, 2 days, 6.5 million, not great. Saturday, didn't do much better, 13.8 million, Sunday 10.9 million, and you can already see what's about to happen to this film as it scales down. Tuesday, it's going to get the old person bump, but the old people are going to be done with this because word of mouth on this is so poor. Domestic total at 44 million. I'm not sure how much more you're going to eke out over the course of the next coming weeks. But we'll finally get into the numbers and get into the honesty behind those numbers right now. Disclosure Day, 44 million in 3,824 theaters. It only averaged $11,506 per screen, 44 million overall on its fourth day of release. I know it says days in release 3, but again, Hollywood trick to allow for previews to count with Friday. Now, Obsession rolled through the door with a still highly maintained $19 million to finish in second place. Now, look at those two numbers. They are not separated by all that much. There may be, what, $25 million difference between these two. And this is one of the things about Obsession that's been mind-boggling to many. It was a very well-crafted film. It's a, well, I guess kind of a rom horror. I don't know what to call it. It's a romantic horror film. It's weird. And it's still in 3,068 screens, which is kind of telling. And it still maintains $6,193 in screen earnings in only 3,068 screens. Now, look at the difference between these two numbers. 31 days in release, it's still making almost $20 million, only falling 25%. Scary Movie, $14.5 million in its 10th day of release, at 73% collapse at 3,500 for theaters and a $4,100 per screen average. Then we slide into Back Rooms, which 57% fall as expected, much steeper than we've seen coming out of things like Obsession in only its 17th day of release. And finally, we get to position 5, which is Masters of the Universe at $8.6 million, falling 71% for the weekend's earnings. And again, only at a meager $46.7 million in 10 days of release. The question is, will this be worth it that Amazon will continue to make films with toy brands in order to sell toys? Because that's the whole motivation here. It's not like they're going to earn a lot of extra people for Amazon Prime. It's that they're going to earn people to buy things from Amazon Prime that are related to the film. Look, you can make an argument that the theaters are the new target. They're trying to revive MGM over there at Amazon, and I think they can if they get Bond right. I think that'll be the first true building block. Now let's step into the 24 days of failure for Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grey Goose. That's right, 4.7 million, falling another 53% and losing theaters left and right in only 2,680 theaters and only earning $1,754 per screen. $165.072 million domestically, and domestic's really something they absolutely need here. I'm going to tell you something. This film is destined to lose over $100 million at the end of the day, and we're going to talk about it pretty soon because I think it's going to find its way to Disney Minus sooner rather than later. Michael still maintaining a decent position in position 7 with $4.1 million with only a 46% slip, despite the fact it's available on digital. Again, why do you hate money? You should leave this thing in theaters for a long time. It's 52 days already. You could have kept it in and probably popped this score another 2 million or more, embarrassing Star Wars even further, but you didn't. As far as the number of earnings per screen, though, Michael out-earned Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grey Goose by $100 or almost $100. This is insane. 52 days, that thing's going great. BTS World Tour enters at 3.8 million in only 1,000 theaters, 65 days in release, meaning this returned to screens. The Furious surprised everybody this weekend, might be the sleeper of the beginning of the summer at $2.75 million and only 1,251 screens. Now, what's fascinating about this is this number. 2,198, 3 days of release. $2,198 per screen. That's really, really good for a film with this kind of release. Does it deserve more screens? Probably. But what do you push out? Maybe Back Rooms? Maybe Michael? Maybe everything that's below it, like Stop That Train and similar? Again, the good news is overall, the box office got some, well, heavy play on things that I'm surprised by, including The Breadwinner and The Devil Wears Prada 2, who's still hanging in there after 45 days. The Sheep Detectives still hanging in there at 1.2 million. Pressure, which again, great film according to everybody who's seen it. I still haven't had my chance, at 1.1 million after falling 64% from week to week. Overall, $14 million for that film. that might end up being profitable. We'll see. Super Mario Galaxy still stays in theaters for 75 days. It's still available on digital. It's got $429 million in the States. It had already exceeded $1 billion globally. And for, I think, the first time is underneath the $1 million club at $364,000 for the weekend. Beyond all that, everything else is laughable. And for the 21 movies that are reported so far, we have only $121 million in the box office. And this is the problem. This is what I was talking about, a muted box office. This is like a September box office. It might even be like a March box office. It's not desperation mode for the exhibitors, but it's not good either. And the fact that there was no staying power for Masters of the Universe and there wasn't any staying power for the Star Wars film after 70 years, there was no power to that. That's even worse. Imagine 30 days of Star Wars movie and not being able to cross at least $200 million in North America. That's a bad sign for Disney Star Wars. It's a bad sign for sci-fi overall. And maybe that has something to do with Disclosure Day. But I'm going to tell you right now, a B CinemaScore, that's really bad. When you get a B, you're not a tentpole. You don't deserve where, well, you were marketed. And that's another problem for Spielberg. Spielberg, in my opinion, and I said this in my review, is essentially making a duplicate of a J.J. Abrams movie that J.J. Abrams just basically stole from Spielberg to begin with. So this is a copy of a copy of a copy, and it shows. It's hollow, and it's empty, it's boring, and it makes one of the best directors in cinematic history look bad. You got to stop just glazing this guy's donut because it ain't working anymore. And if you're one of the people who enabled him to make this property, you didn't help him at all. And those are my thoughts. But hey, what are yours? After a muted box office weekend, are you thinking we have big recovery in the future? Do you think SuperGirl's going to drag us into success in the next weekend or so? Do you think we'll have other films that show up that somehow drag us into success? Because your thoughts are as good as mine, so let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands because it's good hygiene, and seems to be some weird sickness going around right now. And until next time, see ya! Just not going to anything bad, I hope, anymore.